Okay, good afternoon.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
We have
All right,
to
now you
start.
can go.
Give it
Okay.
a minute. Now.
okay. Good afternoon. We're going to call the first case on our docket this afternoon, and I want to put some things on the record. We're going to do it a little differently because we're doing it virtually, and because this is going to still be reported by Sam, who's our court stenographer. We're going to have some ground rules that we're going to try to work through if we can. But first of all, let me just call the case so that we have that. I understand we have Mr. Thompson on the phone, and we have Mr. Eaton or on the MS Teams, and we also have Mr. Eaton. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me officially call this case. This is case number 20-0030. This deals with the Dark View Special Amusement Building located in Toronto, Ohio, and Mr. Thompson is the appellant. And the state's adjudication order number is noted on the docket. There's a couple ground rules that we're going to try to establish here today. First of all, for Mr. Eaton and Mr. Thompson, I'm going to ask that you be sworn in individually, if you would. And so let's start with Mr. Thompson. Would you stand, if you can, and raise your right hand? And Sam, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you can administer the oath, Sam.
Mr. Thompson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, can you do the same for Mr. Eaton? Mr. Eaton, can you stand? Oh, you are. I see you.
Okay. Mr. Eaton, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, I want to make sure that we have all the board members. Chip, you're on, and Brad, you're on because I see you. Paul's on. I see myself, but Neil, are you on? And you're patched in via phone. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm on by phone, but I can see you.
Okay.
Paul.
All right. To the extent that we have Mr. Gehring, one of our members, via phone, is that going to be a problem, Mr. Thompson or Mr. Eaton?
I have no problem with that.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. So we have all the board members present. Going forward here, what I'd ask is that we, if you're not speaking, although we don't have any background noise right now, so we're probably okay, unless you've been muting and unmuting. But we're going to try to have one person talk at a time, and we'll try to, the best we can, when you're speaking, Mr. Thompson, and you, Mr. Eaton, identify yourself. Is Sam, our court stenographer, are you able to see Mr. Eaton on your screen?
I am not. I am only able to see what's in the public view.
Okay, so there we go. So
What I will do, Carl, this is Paul Began. I will switch them up to the live screen when they want to speak.
That'd be perfect if we could do that. Okay. Well, then what I'd ask is that you mute when you're not speaking. We'll try this where Mr. Began will put you on the screen so that our court stenographer knows who's speaking, and we can dispense with identifying yourself. If that becomes a glitch, we'll have to identify ourselves before you speak, so that's captured on the stenographic record that we have to report for this proceeding. Another variance, and we can get to it later, but I think we're going to do a roll vote. We don't normally do that. We usually do a voice vote. Susan, if you would, when we get to the point of deliberation and we've reached a determination, at least in our own minds, I'd ask that you call the roll. Is that okay?
Yes, I will.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, with division cases, we're usually provided, and we are in this case as well, with a memo from the Division of Industrial Compliance prepared by Mr. Eaton. And my understanding, gentlemen, is that item 1 is the only item that's in play today in terms of the appeal. Is that true, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Eaton?
This is Jeff Eaton. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Thompson, you have the floor as the appellant.
Very good. Thank you. Again, this is Mike Thompson. The issue that we're trying to get resolved is this is a haunted amusement that has been in existence for several years, and they have been using a tensile tent structure for many of the years for the main attraction, and have been meeting the code requirements every year with a special application for using portable toilets, as well as having the Toronto Fire Department on hand to meet all the rest of that code requirements. So what we're looking at is they want to move from using a tent structure they need to disassemble. They would like to actually have a building that's enclosed under the code as a special amusement. Code is saying that I need to have permanent plumbing facilities within that building, which is infeasible for them to meet that plumbing load with the septic system that currently is built for this facility. There is toilets that are available for the employees when they're using this building 11 months out of the year as a storage building. They've got some plumbing facilities in a nearby heated garage that will meet those requirements. But what they're looking to do is they want to have an exception to this code rule that would allow them to only during times of special events be allowed to use the portable plumbing facilities during the haunted events, and other than that, not be required to have plumbing built within this building.
Paul, did you put the drawing up site?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I put the drawing up. I cannot send live a person that's phoned in. I can only send live the video. So I put up the drawing as for him to take a look at.
Okay, we have that. Obviously, that was in our packet. Are there questions of Mr. Thompson at this point in time before we hear from Mr. Eaton?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Chip. I have one question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Thompson, roughly what's your attendance on any given night, or I guess maybe on a weekend night? How many people do you have coming through the haunted structure?
That's a good question. As the architect, that I'm not sure. Because like I said, it's an entire outdoor haunted structure. I don't know what the occupancy for the entire site is. The occupancy would be limited for the building itself based on code provisions, which actually I don't have that in front of me. But I was going to say, based on when you look at the plumbing fixtures under the section of code, I would only be required one fixture per gender. Women are set at 65 on that, so I mean, we're certainly talking less than 100. And I would think, realistically, within this building itself, you're probably only talking 20 to 30 people going through this, as it's it's a concealed maze situation, so they're going to limit the occupancy of people that are going through just to control it.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson, I know you don't have the code provisions in front of you. Mr. Eaton, do you have any? Can you partially answer Member Welch's question?
Sure. Under the how we're going to handle the special amusement will be under a time limited occupancy, as that occupancy comes and goes for that month. And under the time limited occupancy, there will be limitations on the occupant load. I think there are provisions in the OBC of 50 or less across other thresholds. So that'll be controlled each time they apply for time limited occupancy. So we're comfortable with the separate accessible portable facilities for each sex when that time limited occupancy is in play.
Okay. Any of the other members have questions, I guess, now, since we've heard to Mr. Beaton of either Mr. Thompson or Mr. Beaton at this stage?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Paul Began. I want to know, I know it's going to be used storage for the remaining months of the year. What type of things are going to be stored in there, and how is that building going to be used?
This is Mike Thompson again. The storage of the events, the outdoor event pieces will just be coming in so that they're kept under roof. These are all not non-hazardous. You know, statues, ghost schools, decorations is essentially what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Brad, Neil, do you have any questions of either Mr. Thompson or Mr. Eaton?
Yeah, this is Brad. I have a question. Yeah, I mean, actually on your drawing, you calculate an occupancy permit of 112, and I guess that's for the building, but that's not the temporary use. And I just wondered, is that for the temporary use as well? This is to Mr. Thompson.
Yes, this is Mr. Thompson. Yeah, the occupancy calculation I have is strictly based off of square footage as assembly, which is not, obviously, as I'm saying, that would not be what they're using or allowing within the building. It's just that's based off of square footage from code.
Okay, because if you use that, you'd have 2 for women. I just, and you mentioned that there's a staff. Is there a staff involved?
They have, well, I was going to say they have seasonal staff that they bring in for the haunted events to act as the costumed characters. But other than that, they're talking 1 or 2 employees that would be there to help kind of set up and do work on the property throughout the year.
Okay. So this whole thing is just a haunted house and it's used once a year at Halloween.
That's pretty much all we're talking about, yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Neil?
The only thing, I just want to make sure they're going to have portable facilities provided during the event. That's still going to maintain, correct?
Absolutely. That's what they've been doing, but they've had, every year they have to do a special application for it, which is trying to bypass that by saying this is spelled out in the drawings and these are very clear requirements and the owner is going to agree to these and anything that would come up in new code, he would stay compliant with.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, gentlemen, thoughts, comments, sentiments at this point in time? Paul, you want to start?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think I would be supportive of the variance, considering that the building official is supportive as well too. Proposed condition for this variance would be variance is conditioned upon portable accessible restroom facilities, including hand washing stations, shall be provided to the satisfaction of the building official.
Gentlemen, starting with Mr. Thompson, would that condition, if imposed, be acceptable to you?
Oh, absolutely. That's what they've been maintaining all this time. So, absolutely.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes, sir, we're comfortable with those conditions.
Any objections or comments based on that proposed condition by any of the other board members?
No, I mean, based on the temporary use of the building, I would support I would support this.
Chip, Neil, you as well?
This is Neil. I'm in favor of it.
Are you ready to vote?
Yes, we'll go ahead if you would. Susan, would you,
Let me
the motion?
let me put the actual motion together then, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
For Board of Appeals case number 20-0030, the appellant is Buster Bowman for the premises Dark View Special Amusement Building at 2257 County Road 68 in Steubenville, Ohio 43964. The appellee is Jeffrey Eaton, building official, Bureau of Building Code Compliance for the state of Ohio, and adjudication order number 2020-06-0016. I move that the variance be granted, subject to the one condition that we previously had noted in the record.
Okay, before I accept a second, I indicated, just based on our docket, that the premises was located in Toronto. I know it's Jefferson County. And in the motion that Paul has proposed, he indicated Steubenville. Mr. Thompson, do you know where the property is located?
Yeah, it is in Toronto, unincorporated Toronto.
Okay. That's fine. I'll entertain a second to Paul's motion.
Second, Neil.
That's second from Neil. Okay. Susan, you can take the roll, please.
Okay. Neil Gearing,
Aye.
Chip Welch. Chip Welch,
He's muted.
Yes.
Brad Smith,
Yes,
Paul Began,
Yes.
and Carl Schneider.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Thompson and Mr. Eaton, the variance passes unanimously on the condition that was read into the record and appended to the motion. Is there anything further, Mr. Thompson or Mr. Eaton?
Just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, before everybody leaves, just so I don't knock us out of this system as a technological neophyte, do the board members and the IT support and Susan want to? We're gonna stay on a live session, but so I'm not going to click off on the live. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then how do we dismiss? I know Mr. Eaton has the next case. How do we dismiss Mr. Thompson? Will that be done by Susan or Paul, or will that be done by Mr. Thompson on his own?
Mr. Thompson can do it, or Susan can remove the participant from the chat, or the phone numbers provided to me, I can do it.
It really doesn't matter to me.
I'll be happy to initiate it. Again,
Okay.
Thank you very much, and I'll hang up.
Best of
Thank
luck.
you.
Great.
Thank you. So
Bye-bye.
that raises the question, though. Not everybody, they might be able to get in, not be able to get off. So maybe we should, should we knock them out, or should we give them the option going forward?
If I can speak, I think they can leave at any time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, they can leave at any time.
That is
So if they
correct.
want to sit, if they want to listen and mute, they may. If they want to leave after their case is heard, they can. I do know, just while I'm speaking, that the next case, David Shaw, is present. So if they wanted to start early, they can.
Right. I was going to suggest that. But just to follow up on what we just were discussing, does that mean that if we knocked them out, they would not enjoy the opportunity to sit in a subsequent hearing?
That is correct. If you remove them.
Yeah, so it is a public meeting, so we got to be careful about that.
And I think it would be difficult for me to keep track of everybody's phone number
Yeah.
and who they are. I don't want to disconnect someone
Okay.
accidentally. So I think we should leave it up to them to leave. That's my thoughts.
Okay.
That would also be my advice.
Okay. Well then, you want to see if, can you put Mr. Shaw in the meeting and at least ask him whether he wants to proceed a few minutes early?
Sure. David Shaw? Are
Yes,
you you're present? Is Kevin Saver?
Savory,
Savory? I'm sorry.
he was going to be connecting via phone.
Okay. If he can hear me and I'm sorry, do you know his phone number? Would he be 317-432-3908?
That sounds right. It's
Kevin?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, that would be Indianapolis call. That's an Indy area code.
Okay.
Susan, this is Kevin Savory. I'm on.
Oh, great. Okay. And Carl, both the parties are here. Would be
Right.
Kevin,
All right,
David.
Mr. Savory and Mr. Shaw, it's 12:54. We have you set for 1 o'clock, but will there be anybody else accompanying you that we need to wait on, or do you want to proceed now?
We can proceed.
And that is
Please proceed.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Both parties have indicated they'll go ahead and proceed. So let me call the case, and then I'll go through a couple ground rules that are sort of a variance, no pun intended, to the procedures we usually handle live, because we're learning our way through this system as well. But this is case number 20-0027. And this deals with the Cooper Pavilion located in Lexington, Ohio. This is a Division of Industrial Compliance case, and the division's adjudication noted on the docket. Let's begin, if we could. I didn't ask Mr. Eaton, but I assume you're okay proceeding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's have an introduction of the party, beginning with the appellants. State your full name, if you would. Spell your last name, so we get that on the record. And then state the capacity by which you're here in a representative way, whether that's architect, project manager, owner, etc. We'll do the same thing with Mr. Eaton. And then what we'll do is we'll have each of you separately sworn in, so we have that documented on the record. That's a departure. We usually swear people in on a group basis. We'll do that individually, at least for now. And then I'll go over a couple other rules. But go ahead, state your full name, spell your last name, the capacity by which you're here. We'll start with the appellants.
This is David F. Schwall, SCHWALL. I'm the operations manager at Green Savory Mid-Ohio LLC, commonly referred to as Mid-Ohio.
Thank you.
And my name is David Kevin Savory. Savory is S as in Smith, AVOREE. And I'm a co-owner of Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And by title, I'm President and Chief Operating Officer of Green Savory Mid-Ohio LLC, more commonly known as Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And I just want to give everyone a little bit of a background on what I'm doing.
Not yet. We're Mr. Savory, we're going to wait till we get Mr. Eaton's introduction. I want to have you sworn in so that anything you say can be taken as testimony.
Sorry. Yeah.
No problem. Mr. Eaton?
Jeff Eaton, EATON, Superintendent of the Division of Industrial Compliance.
Okay, let's start with Mr. Schmall. If you'd stand, raise your right hand. Our court stenographer, Sam, is going to swear you in.
Mr. Schwall, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Savory, same, please.
Mr. Savory, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And Mr. Eaton.
Mr. Eaton, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and Mr. Savory, I'll let you speak in just 1 second, but we're usually provided, and we are in this case as well, with a memo from the division. It's a little cheat sheet for our purposes, to be honest with you. It looks like only item 1 is teed up for the appeal today. Does that, Mr. Savory and Mr. Schwal, does that sound right?
Yes,
Dave?
if item 1 is related to the portable restroom facilities.
It is.
Thank you.
That it is. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you. I think we'll be able. When you speak, which again is a departure because usually we're in a room and you've already introduced yourself and the court stenographer is looking at you. Doesn't really have that ability unless you're put up on the screen. So I'm going to ask if it's Mr. Savory speaking or Mr. Eaton or Mr. Schwal to identify yourself for purposes of the record so that we get that down. But go ahead, Mr. Savory. You wanted to begin a few minutes ago. You have the floor.
Thank you. And again, on behalf of Green Savory, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to meet here today under these circumstances. But because I'm technically challenged, I'm calling in from my mobile phone at home, properly sheltered in place. And Dave sent documents on Friday of what I think all of you are probably able to see. And then my son on his computer has been able to anonymously sign into the video chat. So on one screen I can see what you're looking at. On another screen I can see documents that Dave Schwal submitted, and obviously on my mobile phone. So if there's a delay in a response from Kevin Savory, just please respect that. I'm an older guy that's obviously not very technically sufficient, and hopefully we can get through this. Obviously, Dave Schwal's much younger and much more able to technically adapt. So
we had that
Dave,
same
I'll
Mr. Savory. We've been trying to practice over the last 10 days or 2 weeks, and I commented that the Board of Building Appeals would have been far better and more prudent if the statute required the governor to appoint millennials, because I tell you, we've had some challenges as well. Now, so you're partially looking at a screen on your son's device. He logged in, is that correct?
Yeah, so I can see on a screen right now. I can see obviously the layout of
Okay.
what essentially is turn 1, pit out, and then
Okay.
the area where we're going
Okay.
to position the Cooper Tire Pavilion.
But your son's not going to be a participant or a party in this proceeding.
He's not. He's long gone.
Okay, very good. Okay, Mr. Schwal, Mr. Savory, you have the floor.
Okay, so our reasoning behind the appeal is quite basic, actually. First and foremost, we would like to offset the expense of building tents for our hospitality patrons. That historically has been the mode of containing a special group for hospitality at one of our race events. So in order to alleviate the expense of the continual tent building and unbuilding and the mess that goes along with it, we would like to build a second large pavilion. The first one went through the same appeals process. It was a 40 by 300. On the map you're looking at, the red square would be a 40 by 120 pavilion, open air, concrete floor. We utilize the services of outside contractors for the purpose of our portable restroom facilities. In the packet that I hope you all received, we are currently using Reliable On-Site Services, a division of United Rentals. They have a wide range of trailers, individual porta potties, if you will, with all the handicapped accessibilities as we need it. Very typically, we work in conjunction with the hospitality group as to what they would like. We go over their numbers and accommodate their needs in that respect. We focus mostly on the 3 major events that we have, our Xfinity race, which is NASCAR, our IndyCar event, and our IMSA race, which unfortunately was just canceled because of all of the goings-ons with the COVID pandemic. So those are our main 3 events that we focus for hospitality events. We may have between 100 and 150 patrons, plus or minus, depending on the group. So they will assemble. We cater to them as they deem necessary. So it may be a full sit-down lunch. It may be a grab-and-go bag, or just snacks in between. Seasonally, we're talking about a time range that is May through August. Our season actually starts April 1st through the end of October is typically the end of our season. However, the main three events are the ones that we're talking about this being in use.
Thank you. Questions of either Mr. Schwal or Mr. Savory at this point in time by members of the board?
No.
I have a question. So this pavilion will only be used about 3 times a year? Is that?
Yes, this is Dave Schwal speaking. It will get used. It's not closed off any other time. So if someone wanted to sit and enjoy some shade or sit underneath it in an unofficial capacity, it's not completely closed off, but typically it is only used for those big 3 events.
That was Sam.
This is Kevin. Oh, sorry.
Sam, were you able to note that question came from Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And this is Kevin Sabry, and I want to address the question more financially. Is we would typically build a tent structure those few times a year, and so this is a more permanent solution to that, and the cost of building the tent and putting flooring in and so on, which obviously comes with kind of a lesser customer satisfaction. We've decided to go this route with Cooper Tire. So essentially, we would have built a tent a few times a year. The cost of that over essentially a 2-year payback. This is that replacement. So effectively, we've had a tent with flooring that would have had porta-johns beside it. Now we'll have this more permanent solution with a concrete floor with porta-johns around it those few times a year. So in a way, it's just a more permanent solution versus using tent and fabric, if you will.
Thank you. Any other questions of the appellants at this point in time by any member of the board? Okay, let's hear from you, Mr. Eaton.
Yeah, thank you. This is Jeff Eaton. We're comfortable granting the variance. Really, if you figure the people that are already going to use this new building have already paid to be inside the fence, so really there's no increase in occupant load in the facility just by adding this structure. So it's really a non-issue. So if they provide portable facilities, that's fine. If not, the existing facilities will suffice. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, comments from any of the members of the board or further questions of either of the parties at this point in time?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Paul Began. I do have a question about the number of people that are typically, and I know it's probably a difficult thing to do because when it's a super sunny day and really hot, there's probably more people that want to hang out underneath there. But when you guys put up the tents, what kind of normal occupancy underneath the tents do you have? And is it just people, or are there other things that happen underneath there?
This is Dave Schwal. We put up the tent specifically for an event. So in previous years, as we prepare for, let's say, IndyCar, we would build hospitality tents. They would be up through that event, and then the following week, they would come back down. So during the event, it largely depends on the group that has utilized those services or that hospitality location or that hospitality service. typically it ranges between 50 to 350. Of course, we build a tent to accommodate the size of people as needed.
Paul, does that answer your question?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
This
Any
is
other-
Brad. I have another question. You must have restroom facilities on the site somewhere. Your letter about the financial hardships is constructing an 800-foot sewer line and well. Do you have other restrooms on the site?
This is Dave Schwall again. Yes, we certainly do. There are restrooms, permanent restrooms located in our infield portion of the racetrack. There are permanent restrooms located in a shower facility that's not in the infield, but certainly accessible by the spectators. And then there are permanent restrooms located in the paddock garage area. We supplement all of that, of course, with portable units. The 800-foot sewer line would be the straight line distance between the proposed facility and the closest point of connection to our permanent paddock restrooms.
That's Mr. Schwall, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Brad, answer your question?
Yeah, that's all for me.
Okay. Chip and/or Neil, any questions of either of the parties?
This is Neil. I'm fine with it. I'm sure the condition's going to stipulate the amount of temporary facilities will be determined by the building official.
I'm of the same opinion, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I think at this point in time,
I am as well.
Yeah. Right, Paul.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would propose the following as a condition for variance. This variance is conditioned upon portable, accessible restroom facilities, including hand washing stations, shall be provided to the satisfaction of the building official. Restrooms shall be required during normal seasonal use of the facility only.
Okay, gentlemen, starting with Mr. Schwab, Mr. Savory, would those proposed conditions be satisfactory?
They will.
Okay. Mr. Eaton,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
we have a motion.
Neil Gearing?
Hold on a second, Susan. Yes, Mr. Chair, for Board of Building Appeals case number 20-0027, the appellant is Kevin Savory for the premises Cooper Pavilion at 7721 Lexington Stream Corners Road, Lexington, Ohio 44904. The appellee is Jeffrey Eaton, building official, Bureau of Building Code Compliance for the state of Ohio, and adjudication order number 2020-020168. I move that the variance be granted, subject to the condition previously read into the record.
Okay, that motion's been duly made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Neil Gearing.
Neil Gearing, okay. Second by Neil. I think we can do a voice vote, and then if there is either an abstention or a no vote, they can identify themselves. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those not in favor say nay. Gentlemen, the variance is granted on those conditions, and it was granted unanimously. Is there anything else to come in front of the board with respect to this case? Okay, we will conclude the hearing. Gentlemen, it's a public meeting, so if you wanted to stay around. You can't participate in the next hearing, but as a public hearing, if you're that bored in these times, you're welcome to stay on. Otherwise, you can drop off a call. Our board secretary, Susan Steer, will get the paperwork out as soon as she can that establishes that the variance was granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All
Okay.
the best. Stay healthy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You as well.
Chairman Schneider,
Yes.
Kent Buer is present and will be the appellant for the next two cases, 23 and 28.
I could take 2 seconds to go to the restroom. Can we do that?
Okay. Just leave the live event.
We'll just stay on live, and you can go ahead and patch them in. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Could all Paul?
Yes, Susan.
Thank you. I tried to mute everyone because I thought in the live event it would say that we'd be back momentarily. At least that's what if he takes his, or not mute, but if he takes his camera and turns it off, that they'll be in the live event, it will show that. I apologize, not mute, but camera. So next time he needs to leave, if he just takes his camera and turns it off, then it has stayed up in the live event that we've left for a moment. Just a thought. Okay.
Maybe we could put together a sign too to do that as well.
I have one. I just I shared this morning that if you just turn your camera off, whoever's in the live event, if you turn your camera off, there is an actual verbiage that comes up.
Oh, great. Who muted me? Someone muted me, or did I?
I did, accidentally.
Oh, thanks, Susan.
So,
no, that's fine. I looked down and I saw it muted. Hey, Sam.
give him a second. Sam, unmute. He shows muted.
I know.
Sam, he should hear you or me.
Sam? Hey, Sam.
There he goes.
Hey, Sam.
Yes.
So, real quickly before we call officially the third case, you doing okay on this?
Yeah, this is working.
Okay. All right. You're generally able to identify the parties?
Yeah, as long as they spell their names and everyone speaks once at a time and identifies themselves when they start, it's pretty clear.
Okay. And what are you looking at? Are you looking at the same thing we are with the gallery? And then,
no.
And then Paul puts
I just have what's being in the public view. So whoever's selecting the camera, that's what I'm seeing. And it's about 20 seconds behind. So the only live experience that I get is through the phone.
Okay, all right. Any of the board members have any comments on that? I think we're good.
We need to unmute. Neil, unmute. Kent, viewer,
Okay,
unmute. Jeff, please. Neil needs to unmute, and I think everybody's back.
Except Neil, but I think that's fine. But I just wanted to make sure we were okay after 2 hearings before we went on to the 3rd hearing with our court reporter. It sounds like we are, unless any of the board members are troubled with the explanation that he gave to my question. Okay, all right. Susan, do we have the parties for the 3rd case?
We do.
Okay. Good afternoon. It is 1:19, and we're actually going to call a case that was set for 1:30 on our docket today. It deals with the Ohio Department of Transportation. This is case number 20-0023, and because it's an ODOT facility, it's the Division of Industrial Compliance has jurisdiction. First of all, who's the representative for the appellant for the ODOT?
This is Kent Bueller.
Okay.
I'm an architect and engineer representing ODOT.
Okay. Anybody accompanying you on this hearing?
I forwarded the invite, but they were concerned that there was some, I think, language in the invite that would suggest they might, if they joined, they might knock me out.
Oh, okay. All right. Here you
So they didn't want that.
Well, here's my question, and this is also for Mr. Eaton, who's representing the division in this matter. You're not set for till 1:30. It's now 1:20. Any objection to advancing the case to now?
No, sir. Thank you.
No objection.
Okay. All right. Case has been called. Mr. Bueller, I'd ask that you stand, raise your right hand. I'm going to have the oath administered by our court reporter. Actually, I think we can do that too. I think Mr. Eaton, you could stand as well, and Mr. Bueller, and Sam, you can go ahead and just administer the oath as you do. I'll get the confirmation on the record.
All right. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Eaton and Mr. Bueller, you've accepted the oath. Thank you. It looks like, with respect to this case, item 1 on the adjudication order is what is an issue here for today's appeal. Is that true, Mr. Bueller, Mr. Eaton?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Bueller, you have the floor.
Okay. Our firm, Bureau Group Architecture and Engineering Incorporated, was retained by the Ohio Department of Transportation to design an unheated storage building in Troy, Ohio at the Miami County ODOT facility, full service maintenance facility. And basically they have a number of vehicles and equipment setting outside, and they'd like to put that into an enclosed space. And they've adopted a style of building a tension fabric structure to put things like that inside. And so we've designed a 10,000 square foot building, have obtained a local zoning permit, and this is a rendering of what that building would look like. We're requesting that in lieu of a fire suppression system for this unheated storage structure, that we could put in a heat detectors and pull stations and audible visual signals, and tie that into the simplex fire alarm that monitors the main building approximately 200 feet away.
All right, and we're looking at that. Did you put that on the screen, Mr. Bueller, or did Mr. Began put that on the screen?
I did,
Susan.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We're learning our way as we go here.
Okay.
I think that's helpful. Any questions of Mr. Bueller by any member of the board?
Mr. Bureau, this is Chip Welch. What's the dimensions of the building?
The dimensions of the building are 80 feet by 125 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is
Sorry.
Paul Began. I did see the list of the equipment, but would you mind, for the record, kind of going over what is stored in this building?
Let's see if I can read it. A second. They have swap loaders stored. There's 2 trailers, semi-trailers. One's a brine trailer where they store their brine fluid. The other one is a trailer, I believe, for hauling vehicles around. And that's what the 2 side bay doors, the narrow, smaller ones, are for. And there'll be digital signs. And subcats, mowing, lawnmowers. So that's kind of, and it wouldn't necessarily have all this stuff in a backhoe in the building necessarily at the same time, but we wanted to show them it could all fit if they needed to put it all in at the same time.
Okay.
Any other questions of Mr. Bueller? Okay, Mr. Eaton.
Yeah, we've had a couple of these in the past, and we're comfortable with our standard condition of the heat detection system throughout.
Any questions of Mr. Eaton? Okay.
Yeah, I do have one point during the review of the drawings. I did notice we just have 2 doors into this building. We have some overhead doors, obviously, but there's just 2 man doors. I did not see any request for variance for windowless story provisions for this particular structure. So I'm personally, I think I'm okay with the sprinkler system, having a fire alarm system in there. We've done this for other ODOT facilities, but I think fire department access then becomes that much more important to this. So I would probably want to require as a condition that the building needs to meet the requirements of OBC 903.2.11.1 regarding stories without openings.
All right, before I hear from any of our colleagues, Mr. Bueller, any comments with respect to what Mr. Began has proposed?
We did receive a letter from the Troy Fire Department, non-objection letter to this appeal request. And I did forward that to Susan Sears.
And Mr. Chair, we do have that as part of our board packet, a letter from Assistant Fire Chief Gary Stanley, dated April 27, 2020, a letter of which he does not object to the variance with heat detection system and pull stations.
Thank you. That's in our record previously and will remain in our record. Gentlemen, well, let me hear from Mr. Eaton. Mr. Eaton, any further comments, particularly in light of what Mr. Began has indicated?
No, sir, I would agree with that as well. Thank you.
Board members, comments, sentiments?
I have a question. What is the maximum allowable egress distance on a building like this?
That's Mr. Smith.
Oh, yes, Mr. Smith.
I think that's directed to you, Mr. Bueller.
Yes.
Well, we're showing the maximum distance of this travel around 125 feet in this current layout.
Do you know what the allowable is?
I'd have to get the code out. I'm sorry. I don't have that memorized. Jeff, do you know?
I'll pull it up here quick.
I'm thinking it's 200.
$250, 200 feet, yeah, without sprinkler, maximum travel. So technically you could be in the middle of the building and go 200 feet each direction to a door.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, that was Jeff Eaton, for the record.
Yes, Jeff, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Buer, anything further at this point in time?
No, 200 foot was what I was thinking it was, so I'm glad that Jeff was able to confirm that.
Okay, Mr. Eaton, anything further?
No, sir, it took a while. I had to get the dust off my code book.
Right. Well, the internet's probably running slow up there. Okay, gentlemen, comments, thoughts, sentiments?
Mr. Chair, this is Chip. I support the variance with the conditions that Mr. Beegan's about to propose.
Okay. Thank you. Brad?
Yes, we've supported these variances in the past for these types of buildings, and I would support it with the conditions.
Okay, Neil's muted. Neil? Susan, can you tell from behind the wall? Have we lost Neil?
I'm looking. It just shows he's muted. He should be able to hear you though.
Well, yeah, but he can't make a record. Paul, what are your sentiments on this? I mean, you proposed the conditions, but.
Yeah, I will put together some conditions. Maybe we could read through those while Neil's working through figuring out how to unmute himself. How's that sound?
And in the event, let's talk about this. I want while Mr. Buer's on the phone and Mr. Reed, in the event Neil has a glitch, I think I'll probably do a voice vote, and then I'll see whether or not the parties are in agreement with proceeding in front of a board of 4 rather than a board of 5. But I don't think we're there yet. So go ahead, Paul. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I propose the following conditions. Number 1, an alternate, and I've posted those up on the screen so everybody in attendance can read along as well too. Number 1, an alternate fire alarm system shall be installed and maintained, comprising of a remote annunciator, Peron, located at the satisfaction of the building and fire officials, and Peron, system smoke detectors with integral heat detectors throughout the entire structure, audible/visual devices throughout the entire structure, and pull stations at all identified means of egress. Number 2, the alternate fire alarm system shall be required to be off-premise monitored in a manner approved pursuant to OBC 901.6. Number 3, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be considered required systems and listed as such on the certificate of occupancy by the building official. Number 4, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be maintained as required systems utilizing the Ohio Fire Code and adopted NFPA standards. Number 5, no maintenance, repairs, or storage of combustible or flammable materials shall be permitted within the structure at any time. Number 6, the building shall meet requirements of OBC 903.2.11.1, Peron, stories without openings, and Peron. revised drawings shall be submitted for review by the building official to confirm that additional openings are provided. Number 7, this variance is granted based on the use, construction, occupant load, square footage, and level of activity identified on the approved construction documents, including the maintenance of all building systems and any conditions required herein. And number 8, the chief building official shall forward a copy of any certificate of occupancy to the fire department having either emergency response or fire prevention responsibility.
Okay, Mr. Buer, those 8 conditions or so were read into the record as proposed conditions at this point. Do you have any comments or any questions regarding those? And if not, what's your comfort level with those?
Well, I just want to look over the 903.2.11.1. This project's out for bids, and the bids are due on Thursday. And
I'm just an architect and not the design architect, Mr. Brewer, but I would think that you are probably going to be adding 3 doors on this particular project, 2 on the plan north side and 1 on the plan west side.
Uh, 2 on the north. Yeah, we haven't had, this is a new request for these, and that we haven't seen this on these appeal hearings before. So I'm trying to digest the ramifications. The back side of this building borders up to a wetland, or I mean a floodplain. Not a wetland, a floodplain. And that's why there's no openings on that. It's also towards the property line.
Well, yeah, they're not meant to serve as means of egress. They're meant to serve for the fire department to have access in the building. They could be windows as well. They don't necessarily have to be doors. But when a building's greater than 75 feet deep, you do have to provide openings on both sides, and basically every 50 feet. So.
Okay, well, I guess it is what it is.
And again, with, normally we have done variances for that particular item before, but considering that this variance is to not provide a required fire suppression system, I think it is in the best interest for the safety, not only of the personnel on site, but also of the fire department that would be responding to any emergency in this location, to be able to have the required access.
And it is true, the other buildings we've been getting variances on have been less than 75 feet deep.
Yeah, and the next one you'll see is less than 75 feet deep. So that one, I think you're only had 1 opening, but we'll get to that one soon.
All right.
Hey, Paul, this is Neil.
Hey, Neil.
I'm back.
Good.
Somehow I got muted. So I don't know if
you still show as muted, but I'm glad you're there, Neil.
Well, I had to call back in. I don't know. Somehow I got muted. I'm not muted on my phone, but the IT told me it's *6 to unmute.
Okay, good.
Well,
But did you vote on the last case? Because I did hear the whole case.
No, we're still in that. Paul has read proposed conditions.
I read them.
Okay. Well, we're on. I just want to make sure we're clear here. We're on case. We're on the 3rd case.
Yes. 0023.
Got it. Okay, great. All right. So, Mr. Buer, I'm assuming that in the perfect comfort level, but you don't interpose any objection to the proposed conditions?
No, it's still better than having to sprinkle the whole building.
Understood. Mr. Eaton?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with Mr. Deegan's condition as well.
Okay. Any other comments or remarks by any of the member of the board? If not, do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. for Board of Building Appeals, case number 20-0023. The appellant is Ohio Department of Transportation for the premises Miami County Full Service Maintenance Facility at 2423 West State Route 55 in Troy, Ohio 45373. The appellee is Jeffrey Eaton, building official, Bureau of Building Code Compliance for the state of Ohio, and adjudication order number 20200-20278. I move that the variance be granted, subject to the conditions previously read into the record, and I believe noting the no objection of the building and fire official.
Thank you. That motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chair, this is Chip. No, I'll say.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Mr. Welch has seconded it. I'll go ahead now. We have Neil, you're still on the phone, correct?
I'm here. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we can hear you. So we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Mr. Bureau, the variance is granted on the conditions read into the record, and it was granted on a unanimous basis. Thank you. Anything further? No, we have the next case. Is there any need for a recess, or Mr. Bureau, I assume you don't want to wait around to the appointed time, want to proceed, correct?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay.
And I don't believe anyone from ODOT was going to join me on this.
All right, I'll call the case.
Mr. Chair, if we could hold on just 30 seconds while I prep up the documents for the next one.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll go off record, Sam.
All right, the time is approximately 1:40 p.m. and we're going off the record.
Someone needs to mute. That was Chip.
Mountain Dew break.
You heard it. we could hear you. Mr. Buer, is this your first virtual hearing?
Yes, it is.
It's only our third.
Right.
Okay.
We got two.
That was my second.
We're learning as we go as well.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I do have things ready
Sam,
for the.
Right. Sam, back on the record, please.
The time is approximately 1:41 p.m. and we're back on the record.
Go ahead, Paul. All right. Well, we're back. Oh, so we're all right. So you're ready, correct, Paul, for the next hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Buer, Mr. Eaton, are you ready for the next hearing?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
We're going to call case number 20-0028. This also was an industrial division of industrial compliance case, and this also deals with another Ohio Department of Transportation facility located in Liberty Township, and the division's adjudication number is noted on the docket. We went off the record. These are successive cases, but I think since they stand alone, I'll have Mr. Buer enter his appearance. I'll have Mr. Eaton enter his appearance again, and I'll have Sam do a collective oath. Mr. Buer, could you enter your appearance, please?
Yeah.
Well, you got to state your name. Just state your name again and the
All right.
capacity by which you're there on behalf of
Okay,
the
so yeah.
property owner.
I'm Kent Buer, serving as architect and engineer for a new full-service maintenance facility in Liberty Township on Belmont Avenue at the corner of Naylor Lloyd Road.
Thank you. Mr. Eaton?
Jeff Eaton, EATON, Chief Building Official for the Division of Industrial Compliance.
Okay, if each of you stand, sort of look into your camera. Sam, would you administer an oath? Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, let the record indicate that both Mr. Buer and Mr. Eaton have assented to the oath. Looks like we have item 1 is the only item on the adjudication order that is in play again for this particular hearing. Is that right, Mr. Buer?
Correct.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Buer.
The Ohio Department of Transportation has retained our firm to design a new full-service maintenance facility for Trumbull County. And as part of that facility, there's an unheated storage building of 12,000 square foot in size for storing seasonal equipment like digital signs, lawnmowers. There's no maintenance being done in this building. The main building on the campus has the maintenance shop and so forth. There's no hazardous materials being stored in this facility either. And there's no storage, rack storage or anything that would be higher than, if there's any, would be higher than 10 feet. So.
Okay. Questions? The appellant? Okay.
No, I assume this is the same use and as far as what equipment is being stored in as the previous case, Mr. Buer?
Correct. So they might have, they could have a trailer in there for hauling equipment along, and but it's mostly lawnmowers, 1-ton pickup trucks, and digital signs and equipment like that.
That question was asked by Mr. Began as it was on the previous hearing, Sam. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Eaton.
We're comfortable with the variance with the condition of the automatic heat detection provided throughout the building.
Questions of either Mr. Buer or Mr. Eaton at this point in time by any member of the board?
No.
I'm good.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, let's give it a shot, Paul, the conditions.
Yeah, hold on a moment here while I pull that up.
And I did obtain a letter from Captain McConey from the Liberty Township Fire Department not having an objection.
Thank you. That was Mr. Buer, Sam.
Got it.
All right, Mr. Chair, for this case, I propose the following conditions. Number 1, an alternate fire alarm system shall be installed and maintained comprising of a remote annunciator at a location to the satisfaction of the building official, system smoke detectors and or heat detectors to the satisfaction of the building official throughout the entire structure, audible/visual devices throughout the entire structure, and pull stations at all identified means of egress. Number 2, the alternate fire alarm system shall be required to be off-premise monitored in a manner approved pursuant to OBC 901.6. Number 3, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be considered required systems and listed as such on the certificate of occupancy by the building official. Number 4, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be maintained as required systems utilizing the Ohio Fire Code and adopted NFPA standards. Number 5, no vehicle repair or maintenance activities are permitted within the structure at any time. Number 6, the building shall meet the requirements of OBC 903.2.11.1, Peron, stories without openings, and Peron. Revised drawings shall be submitted for review by the building official to confirm that additional openings are provided. And number 7, this variance is granted based on the use, construction, occupant load, square footage, and level of activity identified on the approved construction documents, including the maintenance of all building systems and any conditions required herein. And this would be noting the no objection of the building and fire officials.
Okay. Comments, questions?
I'm assuming that since our depth is less than 75 feet, our current design meets the requirements of the windowless storage requirement.
That is incorrect. You will have to put openings on one side, not on both sides of the structure. There are openings that are required to be every 50 linear feet along the facade.
Okay. Yeah, then this is something you haven't been requiring on previous appeals, so.
It's not a requirement that we're requiring. I just noted that it was not picked up by the building official.
Okay.
And since it is a requirement of the Ohio Building Code, it's something that you're required to do anyways. It's not really a requirement of this particular board. I'm just noting that since we're taking out the sprinkler system, which is a required system, I wanted to make sure that the fire department has adequate access in case there was a reason for them to get into the building.
Okay. Well, I don't discount that it's not part of the building code. And it's good that it was being pointed out.
Okay. Mr. Eaton, any comments on that dialogue?
No, sir. Appreciate the input, and I'll make sure the examiners are aware for future projects.
Mr. Buer, you can live with those conditions as written.
I can.
Okay.
Hopefully OTAT will be like adjust to them too.
Got you. Mr. Eaton?
We're comfortable with the conditions proposed.
As proposed. Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, any comments or questions at this point in time?
No, sir.
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, for Board of Building Appeals case number 20-0028, the appellant is Ohio Department of Transportation. The premises is for ODOT Cold Storage Building at 5140 Belmont Avenue, Liberty Township, Ohio 44505. The appellee is Jeffrey Eaton, building official, Bureau of Building Code Compliance for the state of Ohio, and adjudication order number 2020-020-463. I move that the variance be granted, subject to the conditions that we previously read into the record, and noting the no objection of the building and fire officials.
Okay, before I entertain a second, I think Neil's on because I see the 216 number. His other moniker is still muted. Neil, you on?
I am, and the reason that stays muted is because I have no mic on my computer to date. So, okay. But the phone muting does not show up, I believe.
Okay, but you were a participant in the hearing and got to hear everything, correct?
I sure did.
Okay, motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Was that Chip?
Yes, sir.
Okay, second by Porter Wells. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Mr. Buer, Mr. Eaton, the variance is granted all those conditions and granted unanimously. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Congratulations, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Mr. Buer, you can hang around for subsequent hearings if you want. They're public meetings, but otherwise you can disconnect yourself. It's up to you.
Okay, well, I'll certainly turn my camera and mic off.
Yes. Mr. Eaton as well. Thank you.
Okay, we've got 8 minutes to the next hearing, correct? The next one would be at 2, or is that 2:30? I'm trying to look here. 2. We want to see if we have the parties.
I believe the appellant is here. The building official has not arrived yet.
Okay. Sam will go off the record for just a second.
And Carl, Susan said you can turn off your camera and that will kind of serve as a notice that we're on hold for a bit. But just don't stop. Obviously, don't hit the end button.
Susan?
Perfect.
I just did that. Okay, I'll be back.
Hey, Susan, this is Neil.
I
Camera
know.
going up.
When we went on a break the last time, how did I get muted? Did you mute all of us?
I think you were muted, but you're coming under Ron Dockler now. That's where you're not muted.
Well, I understand, but how did I get muted on the phone the last time?
I think we hit mute.
Oh, so when you hit mute, I have to unmute.
And the only way you can do that on a phone, I believe, is the *6.
*6, that's what the IT guy.
On the
somebody
phone.
sent me.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I have a mute button on my phone and I'm like, I didn't hit it.
Yeah. But we're going to have, this is going to happen. This is how we work through it.
Right. All right, well, we're on a little break, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Susan, I believe it's #6 to unmute.
Oh, is it pound or star? Okay.
It's star.
It is
*6.
It's *6, yeah, that's what I hit.
Okay, we have it wrong in the chat then. The chat says #6, so I'll update
I think
that.
I put #6 questioning, and then, yeah, I didn't have my notes regarding that, or could remember exactly. Knew it was something 6, pound or star. Callie, can you hear me? You can unmute. I see your phone number, 567-644-4672. If you hit *6 on your phone, you should be able to unmute.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can now. Okay.
Hey, great. Perfect.
We are still waiting for the board to come back, and then we are still waiting on Mr. Englund.
Okay.
So he tested last week and was able to access through the test. So I assume he'll be here hopefully in the next 5 minutes, and we can get started.
Okay. Sounds
If
good.
you want, if you can mute until the chair says done mute, that would be great.
Got it. So *6 to do both?
Oh, that I don't know. Hang on a second. Let me see if IT can tell you how. I can mute you.
Yeah, I would just do that.
Okay, I'll mute you, Kelly, and then when they're ready to start, all you have to do is hit *6 like you did before.
All right, we'll do.
Did you mute me, Susan?
I didn't touch. No, I did not do anything to you.
Okay, good.
All right, so how do I get back into this live event now?
There you are.
Okay,
Turn
so
the
you
camera.
want, so we have all the parties? I stepped away to get a glass of water.
No, we only have the appellant. We're waiting on the building official.
So Aaron just called me, Aaron Johnston, but I tried to pick it up on my Apple Watch and he wasn't there.
Yeah, I would.
I'll call
Yeah, I
him.
saw that. Well, maybe right afterwards we can go into another meeting. Or you
Yeah,
can call him.
I think the question was, I think Jeff was concerned that Neil had fallen off and that there might be an issue with that. Is that why Aaron would be calling me?
No. I believe what happened, from what I can tell, there's a link to all our invites that I copy and I send to, I don't know if Bev's on, she could chime in. Somehow the link for today, when you click on it, it is not, anybody that wants to be attendee cannot access it. The link for tomorrow they tested and is good, but the link for some reason today is not working. I sent it to legal while we were active, and they were able to attend. So the link that's on the website for today is not working. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue.
That is correct, Susan.
Okay, well, but we've asked the parties if they have anybody accompanying them.
Yeah, I think it's the ability for anybody outside to sit and watch or listen could be the problem for today, because the link that's on the website is strictly for those that just want to attend and watch, not participate, but watch. So I don't know if we can discuss it afterwards. I know we have one more
Yeah.
case to get through, but.
Well, I think the way that we get to that, Susan, and we had talked about this when we first started putting this together, is we can always post a recording of our session, a link to that, so that the public can access it and see it.
And we did that, but for some reason, the link that I copied from the invite and provided to the to IT to get on the website for today's meeting only is not working.
No,
Tomorrow-
what I'm saying is after that. So tomorrow you could post the recording of this hearing, because we'll have a recorded version of it to post.
I don't know if it's an issue though that they couldn't attend while it's live versus after the fact.
Well, that's for the lawyers to figure out, I guess.
Right. So we can discuss it later. But I do know Callie, who is the appellant, is here. I still do not see Robert Englund. So I know what we sent out gives them at least 10 minutes after the hearing, their start time to join. So let me try to reach out to Robert Englund and see if he's having any problems connecting.
Okay.
Just a moment.
So, Susan, are you there?
She went, I think, Neil, I think she's trying to call the building official.
Okay. Because the link I'm going to need a good link for tomorrow too, because mine did not work today originally.
Hello? Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I just hung up. Their server is very slow. Robert Englund stated he is still trying. If he gets in the next few minutes, fine. But he is also going to send me an email. He believes it's complete, and I shared with him it's completely up to the board, but he has no issues with the board based on the letter he submitted as well as with the fire official. You should have it in hand if you want to proceed without him. But I told him it was completely up to the board. So he'll continue to try to access connection. He just said his server is really slow on his end.
Okay, let's just, we're in a holding pattern.
Okay.
Hey, Susan, this is Neil. Could you send me a link, an updated link for tomorrow's meeting?
Sure.
Okay, just so I have the right one tomorrow. Thank you.
Sure.
So my inclination would be to call the case when we get some word as to whether or not Miami County official can get on. If he's unable to and is willing to rest on his communication, his written communication, I'll call the case, and then I think we'll have to discuss that among ourselves. Is that okay? I wouldn't want to discuss that before we call the case and get the appearance of the appellant, et cetera.
Would it be possible for him to use a cell phone to call in instead of trying to use Teams to connect?
Yeah, he should be able to do that, Susan.
I'm sorry. Hang on a second, please.
Yeah, he can use that number I call in on.
Guys, hang on a second, please. Okay. Okay, I have, I'm sorry, I didn't mute myself. I've contacted him by email, and we'll see if he can connect by phone.
Okay.
And
Let's-
then I also have an email from him stating, I think he communicated it continuing, but I'm sorry, I'll just read it into the record. That might be easier.
Okay. Let's just wait till we call that. Let's, real quick though. Neil, you're on still, correct?
I am on, Carl.
Okay. We have other business on our agenda. Do we have a motion from any of the board members to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was March 3rd, 2020?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so that's Chip. Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chair, it's Neil.
And Neil. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Minutes from our meeting on March 3rd, 2020 have been approved. Suppose we can wait on establishing June, July, and August hearing dates unless you want to start that process now, but I suppose we should wait and hear from the building official. And let me ask you while we're on that, I mean, are we anticipating that we're going to be doing this with travel and live, or do we know? June may be iffy, right?
I believe June will still be remote from what I understand.
Well, maybe I'll have my camera by then.
What is it that the pipe fitters did to make Amazon mad?
I don't know. Now they're saying that we're not going to get it till Thursday, and there's none in our area because I looked at a couple of stores. Crazy.
Chairman Schneider?
Yes.
Okay, the email I have from Rob Englund states, Susan, I apologize, but my county server is very slow at this time. I am trying to connect, but it isn't looking good. I have no objections to the board continuing the appeal today, as they have both my information as well as the local fire department's information. I think what he meant was continuing on with the appeal today, but I've responded for something in writing stating that, and I have not heard back.
Okay.
So however you want to take that.
We have the appellant on standby, ready to go. I think we probably should call the case and we'll deal with it in due course. Any objections to that by my fellow board members?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it might be worthwhile. I know Susan sent him an email that he could access by phone. It might be worth taking a moment to let Ms. Steer actually try to contact him by phone to let him know that.
Absolutely. I thought maybe she had. Okay. Let's, we're going to stay off.
I did speak with him.
You did speak with him?
Well, I spoke with him originally, and he was trying to access, and he sent it to me in email form as well. He said he had no objection with the board moving forward, but I told him that was completely up to the board if they wanted to go based on the letters he had submitted on his position as well as the fire officials. And then I emailed him and asked him also to try the phone number at the bottom of his invite and the ID to try to connect by phone. And I still see no connection. And he did not, let me see if he's responded to that. He Yes, I have another email. I am attempting, Susan, rebooting laptop to reconnect to server. Very slow today, and that was at 2:12. So that was a minute ago, if you want to give them a couple more minutes.
I think we probably should.
Okay.
But again, I think he's probably trying to still connect through the Teams. He can easily connect via phone, and that's what, maybe he doesn't quite understand that.
Right.
Yeah, you might want to give him a call, Susan.
Okay.
All right, we'll go off for a second.
Come mute me again. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the restroom real quick. Run around here. You're only 2 idiots here.
Okay, I'm back. I just hung up with Mr. Englund, and he is now going to try to connect by phone. He's tried his laptop a couple times and was unable. Awesome. I think he's here. Hang on. He was. There we go. Mr. Englund? Mr. Englund?
Probably the
Carl,
937.
Yeah, I believe that's Mr. Englund, and then we have Callie, the other party. The appellant is the other number of 567-644-4672.
Okay. Who's typing? I hear that.
Sorry, that's me.
Okay.
I'll stop that.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna. So you have Mr. Englund on?
Yes, sir. This is right.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. Let's and then remind me who the who's on behalf of the appellant, Susan.
Callie, but she needs to unmute her phone.
Last name, please.
Lang.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, let's go on the record. It is 2:17. We're going to call a case that was set for 2 o'clock on our docket. We think we have resolved some of the technical challenges with respect to this case. This is a Miami County a jurisdictional matter, and the case number is 20-0031. By the way, I better make sure. Sam, you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good. That's our court stenographer. I want to make sure he was on. And Neil, you're still on, correct?
Yes, I am.
Great, thank you. So it's case number 20-0031. It deals with the Dayton Football Academy located in Tip City, which is within the Miami County jurisdiction. And the adjudication order number is noted on our docket. I'll go over some ground rules since we're doing this virtually that are in some ways departures from past practices when we do live hearings. But let's begin with an introduction of the parties, beginning first with Ms. Lang and then Mr. Englund. State your full name, spell your last name so we get that down on the record, and make sure you tell us in what representative capacity you're here. And we will have an oath administered by our court stenographer. I'll have each of you stand and raise your right hand at the appropriate time, and then we'll proceed. Ms. Lang?
This is Callie Lange, architect with Revival Design Studio. Lange is Lange.
Got it, but it's Lange?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Englund?
Yeah, this is Rob Englund, England, and I'm the building official for Miami County, Ohio.
Okay, and you're appearing by phone, correct? As is Ms. Lange? Okay. If each of you would stand, raise your right hand. I suppose you face your video camera, but you won't be able to see the court stenographer who's administering your oath, but just stand, raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, both parties, Ms. Lange and Mr. Englund, have assented to the oath. What we're going to try to do is, if you're not speaking, to the extent without knocking yourself out, you can mute. That'd be great. We're trying to keep the background noise to a minimum. And then when you speak, we wanted to hold to trying to identify yourself just so we have that record. But if not, I'll make sure that I put that on the record who I believe is speaking, and if I need confirmation to that effect, I will do so. Beyond that, I think we're ready to go. I don't think there's any other protocols that we need to review at this point in time. I will tell you that one of our board members, Mr. Gehring, our pipe fitter member, is appearing also by telephone. And the rest of us are through our computers. Does anybody object to proceeding with one of our members being via telephone?
No, sir.
I do not know.
Okay, Ms. Lange, you have the floor, please.
What we are looking at here is a proposed building addition to an existing 5B structure for the Dayton Football Academy in rural Troy, Tip City area. The issue we're running into, correction letter number 3, is in regards to allowable building area. With the frontage increase allowance, we should be maxing out at 10,500 square feet. We are proposing with this new addition a total fire area of 11,974 square feet. And as a compromise, in lieu of a sprinkler system, we are proposing 2 new egress doors as well as a full fire alarm system with some additional heat and smoke detectors, as well as some AV devices on the exterior of the building that are tied into the new fire alarm system.
Any questions of Ms. Lange at this point in time by any of the members of the board?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chair. This is Paul Began, and I wanted to ask, the building does not seem like it was originally intended for this use. How long has the facility been operating as a soccer field?
Great question. I was not the architect of record on that previous submission, but I do have that set of drawings. Let me look at the date on that. So the original change of use and the first addition to the building was completed in, looks like 2017.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Ms. Lange by members of the board? Hearing none, let's hear from Mr. Englund.
Hi, this is Rob. So I recently spoke to the fire chief from Tip City, and he says he has no objections as long as a full operational fire alarm with extra heat and smoke detectors are installed, as well as some extra egress doors, and as well as an audiovisual device on the outside of the building, and a letter that's going to be drafted by the fire department that would have to be agreed to by the owner of the building, stating that they understand the risk of the possible damage due to the absence of a fire suppression system of the building in regards to the lack of a sprinkler. I have no objections either, as long as those items are met.
Questions, my colleagues?
Mr. Chair, this is Neil. I do have a question for Mrs. Lange. Ms. Lange, what exactly is the reasoning for not coming compliant with the suppression system? What is your hardship here? You guys hear that?
We heard it. Did we lose her?
She's back in. Yes, she is disconnected somehow. Ms. Lang?
Ms. Lange?
Yes, I'm back. Somehow I got booted off that call. But
Did you hear the question?
No. At what point in time did you get booted?
Right after Rob explained the requirements from the fire department.
Let's backtrack. Mr. Englund, can you reiterate what you told us so that she heard largely everything you said?
Correct. So, Callie, I explained the requirements that the local fire department had required, and they had no objections as long as those were met, and I have no objections as long as those requirements are met in this situation.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, do you want me to ask my question now?
I don't think she heard it, so yes.
Ms. Lange, what actually is the reason for non-compliance? What is your hardship? I see in the fire official's letter he does state there's a lack of water supply. Is that the reason? Is it financial? What exactly is the hardship for not suppressing the building?
Correct. So due to the rural location, there's very little availability for water. So if we were to fully suppress, we're looking at a large pond or a cistern with a fire pump to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So in order to make this project feasible, we would have to do a fire alarm system and not suppress.
What is the total cost of the addition?
I believe they have budgeted. One moment, I do have that documented. I believe they have $100,000 budgeted.
And they did look at suppression system. Do you have an estimate on that, or?
I don't have any hard quotes from any fire suppression contractors. I'm just speaking from experience on previous projects. Based on square footage and the fire pump requirement, it would be, my estimate $300,000 to $400,000 potentially.
Ms. Lange, did you receive because we were in possession of an email dated May 1st from Dave Stockler to you. I assume you received that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Neil, I cut you off. Any other questions?
No, that's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other question, gentlemen, of Ms. Lange? Or Mr. Englund, for that matter?
No, I have no questions.
Well, okay, but any board member questions of Mr. Lange? Or Ms. Lange, or Mrs. Lange, Ms. Lange, or Mr. Englund?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have one question. This is Chip Welch. Mr. Englund, is there any municipal water out in this area, or is it all well and septic?
It is all well and septic, and they're pretty deep wells too. They have, this area out here is all limestone. It's on a limestone bed. Okay. I'm pretty familiar with the area. And the reason I don't have any objections is the remote site of this. There's really nothing close to it. I'm more worried about the safety of the occupants. Obviously, the building, it would be a loss. I'm almost guaranteeing it by the time the fire department got there. So I was kind of worried about the occupants. That was my main concern.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may comment, this is Paul Began. I thought about the same thing, Mr. Englund, and I have some conditions written to talk about a couple items as far as some existing egress doors in the building that I think need to have switched or some additional exit signage added to ensure that people can egress safely. Well, when I get to maybe some conditions for a potential variance for this, I will read through those in a little bit more detail.
Okay. Brad, any questions?
Yeah, I do. What are the barriers along the wall for? This is to the Lange.
Are you looking plan south?
Yeah, on the plan, yes.
Right. So those are half walls that the team sit behind. So the guys on the bench or the gals on the bench sit behind those barriers. It's just to keep balls intact in there on the court, on the field, I should say.
So there are benches in there.
Not permanent, but yes, they bring benches out for games and practices behind that half wall. Yes.
Anything further?
That's all.
Okay, if there aren't any questions of either the parties or representatives at this point in time, discussion among ourselves.
Mr. Chair, this is Chip Welch. I think I'd be in support of the variance based on, I think, some conditions that Mr. Began is going to introduce and the conditions outlined by the fire department.
Thank you. Neil?
Yeah, I would like to review or listen to the conditions first, but I'm probably going to be in favor.
Okay, and Brad?
Yes, I mean, due to the location of the building and its use, the lack of public water, I would be in favor of it, assuming we have some good conditions.
Okay. Paul, I think that tees you up for some proposed conditions to vet.
Yeah, let me throw them up on the screen here, and then hopefully people can see or at least hear along.
Well, Ms. Lange, can you see?
I have video pulled up on my computer, so yes, I can see.
Okay. And
I can
Mr.
see
Englund,
video, but I have audio through my phone.
Okay, good.
But Mr. Englund will have to listen, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, this variance is conditioned on the following. Number one, an alternate fire alarm system shall be installed and maintained comprising of a remote annunciator at the front entrance, system smoke detectors with integral heat detectors throughout the entire structure, audible/visual devices throughout the entire structure, and pull stations at all identified means of egress. Additional audible/visual devices shall be installed on the exterior of the structure and located to the satisfaction of the fire official. Number two, the alternate fire alarm system shall be required to be off-premise monitored in a manner approved pursuant to OBC 901.6. Number three, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be considered required systems and listed as such on the certificate of occupancy by the building official. Number four, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be maintained as required systems utilizing the Ohio Fire Code and adopted NFPA standards. Number five, additional doors, emergency egress lighting, and exit signs shall be installed to the satisfaction of the building official. An additional emergency egress door to the exterior shall be installed in viewing area 103, including panic hardware, an exit sign, and a frost slab. The existing door between viewing area 103 and viewing area 102 shall have panic hardware and be marked with an exit sign. The existing door to the exterior at viewing area 102 shall have panic hardware, an exit sign, and a frost slab. The existing egress door noted on the plans as existing 36-inch steel shall have panic hardware, an exit sign, and a frost slab. Panic hardware and an exit sign shall be installed at the new door 101A. Condition number 6, this variance is granted based on the use, construction, occupant load, square footage, and level of activity identified on the approved construction documents, including the maintenance of all building systems and any conditions required herein. Number 7, an acknowledgement letter regarding fire damage risk shall be submitted by the building owner to the building and fire officials. And number 8, the chief building official shall forward a copy of any certificate of occupancy to the fire department having either emergency response or fire prevention responsibility.
Okay, that was, you know, a long set of conditions, and obviously Mr. Englund had to follow along, but let's start with Ms. Lange. Are those, what are your, any questions with respect to those proposed conditions? Any comments? What's your level of acceptance of those?
Everything sounds reasonable and doable. The one addition that I'm seeing is it looks like you want an additional door in viewing area 103. Is that correct?
That is correct. And following Mr. Englund's suggestion that we're more concerned about egress of the occupants, considering that, and I have 14 years of soccer going experience, club soccer year round with 2 of my children, so I've been to many of these. I assume parents are probably going to be mostly up on the mezzanine level for the most part. So the egress path for those people up on the mezzanine level is going to be down the stairs, you know, through a door into an adjacent space and then out a door. I think it would make most sense that if for some reason either of those 2 additional doors are blocked for any number of reasons, that there be an egress door so that when you come off of the mezzanine level, they can go directly to the outside.
That makes sense and seems completely reasonable. I understand. I'm a club volleyball mom,
Yeah.
and
I got one of those
I can see
too.
where I can see where viewing area 102 could be full of bags and blankets and pillows from the team. So that sounds completely reasonable. Okay.
It sounds like the two architects are simpatico on that at this point.
Well, I think every architect has to have kids in club sports. That's all that really
Well,
matters.
there is a common denominator there, that's for sure. Mr. Englund, were you able to follow along? So
Absolutely.
Okay. Are any objections to those conditions as stated?
Not at all. I think it's fair. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Paul.
Comments, gentlemen? Any comments?
I have a question. Should the exit door in 102 be reversed? How it swings?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably a good idea. What I did with that long condition number 5 is did leave that up to the discretion of the building official. So I think once plans are resubmitted, if Mr. Englund feels that even beyond the conditions that we've had, he wants an additional exit light or exit sign or panic hardware, or even other doors beyond what we've outlined in that condition, including changing orientations or swings of doors, he is allowed to do that.
And to share the existing 36-inch steel door, I'll call it the front door to the facility. That was a correction letter item to install a new door that was out swinging.
Okay, good.
Comfortable, Brad?
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
Okay. Hearing no other comments or discussion, do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, for Board of Building Appeals case number 20-0031, the appellant is Chris Stout for RLD3 LLC, and for the premises Dayton Football Academy at 3443 State Route 571. That's in Tip City, Ohio 45371. The appellee is Robert Englund, building official for the Miami County Building Department, and adjudication order number 20200852. I move to grant the variance subject to the conditions that were previously read into the record, and noting the no objection of the building and fire officials.
Okay, before I accept a second, I want to make sure Neil's on.
I am on, Carl.
Okay, and Sam, you followed this up to now?
Yes, I have.
Okay, very good. Motion's been duly made. Do I have a second?
Second hearing.
Okay. A motion's been made. It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstain? Okay, the motion carries. Variance is granted. Ms. Lange, Mr. Englund, on the terms and conditions that have been read into the record. Best of luck. And Mr. Englund, thank you for calling in so that we could move forward with this hearing with your input. Anything else, Mr. Englund and or Ms. Lange at this point in time?
No, thank you. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
No, we've all been challenged with this, and it's been an effort for a couple weeks for the board to try to get to this point.
Well, we'll get there.
We'll get there one of these days, the new normal. Yep. So, all right, that concludes our a case agenda for today. You guys are welcome to stay on. It's a public meeting, but you probably don't want to. I'm going to read a couple case numbers that or cases that have been continued, and we're going to consider some new business by the board. But as far as our active docket, that concludes it at this point in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, while we're on the record, Case number 20-0003, Mill Run Apartments, the premises known as Mill Run Apartments in Forest Park, Ohio, has been continued until sometime in June of this year. We had a Division of Industrial Compliance case, which was 19-0151, dealing with the premises located at 1212 West Mulberry Street in West Union, Ohio, which has been also continued to sometime in June. And we had a Westchester Fire Department case, which is case number 19-0137, dealing with the Brook Trail Fire Lane located in Westchester, which has also been continued. We have noted it to be continued to May 28th, which is a few weeks from now, still later this month. So that concludes our active docket for today. We've approved minutes for March 3rd. As far as new business is concerned, Susan has put a bug in our ear to talk about June, July, and August. I'll defer to what my colleagues want to do in that regard today.
We can look at June. I don't care.
Okay, let's do that. And well, I assume that things could change, but we'll still pick them for Reynoldsburg and Ashland in case things change, right?
Sure.
Okay.
So I am going to throw out there that I have not changed my plans yet. I'm not saying that they will not be changed, but I haven't had a vacation in quite some time. So right now my family is planning on the last week of June and through the 4th of July. So that's the last week of June and first week of July that I would not be available.
And Mr. Chair, I'm out the week of June 8th under the same premise. Could change.
Right. Well, and in the likelihood we're going to be doing this remotely, maybe that's what we should. We could, because you don't have to do it by geographic reason.
No, that's true.
If we said we were going to do it this way, but I don't know, what the Commerce Department or the governor's mandate's going to be on virtual hearings come June, whether they're going to say no or Susan, what do you want? What would you suggest?
I would suggest at least consider the first part of June to be remote only. I don't believe even the state employees will be going back into their offices, and it'll be phased at that until the 1st of June. So with that in mind, I really would believe that an in-person hearing may or may not even be available even towards the end of June, but maybe more like in July. I don't know. We have currently 25 cases to schedule that are pending to be scheduled still.
Whoa.
On the 28th, would that have been our Ashland? Is that just that's just, what is that, a morning or an afternoon docket? What is that?
We had in the past, we had May 28th and 29th scheduled for Reynoldsburg. And that was it. That's all we have currently scheduled is May 28th, 29th. Those would have to be.
But you suggested, but if we went to the first week before the 8th for Chip's out of pocket, would we be able to fill a docket?
Oh, absolutely. Like I stated, I have at least 25 cases that need to be scheduled still. And I do believe there are a number of those that won't be like today. One case could take a couple hours.
Oh, good.
It depends. Yeah, we have a number of field orders that have to go before the board, and I just really don't know. I think there's a few of them that will, where the parties will not be in an agreement, and those would take some time and the possibility of a record being built for the to be appealed to the courts. There's always that chance.
So we had already May 28th and 29th scheduled. You have not put any cases on those dates yet.
I continued a few that I knew we couldn't hear today or tomorrow. But outside of that, I probably have about 20. We've received quite a few requests lately. So I'm guessing at least 20 other cases that I have a few scheduled already for May 28th or 29th. And then I have a number of them that we continued until June, and we're waiting on established dates for that. So probably, and then we have I'd have to look through. I have an elevator case. I have some more, most of them are plan review cases, but we do have a few that I believe are going to take quite some time to be heard, whether they have to wait till we can do it in person or not. That could be a possibility as well.
Okay, so I unless everybody has any objections to that, I mean, I think we try to keep the 28th and 29th to start clearing through our backlog on there. And then, I mean, normally we would be, scheduling an Ashland at the beginning of the month and a Reynoldsburg at the end. I mean, if we wanted to schedule one the first week of June, that would be our Ashland, even though we may not be having it there. And then the only other week, is the week of the 15th, if we wanted to schedule Reynoldsburg dates.
Can I suggest something?
Yes.
Do you think after today that you need a half hour per case, and some maybe even longer, versus how we do it in person? I'm wondering if we can't schedule a few additional days in June. I mean, there's no travel, so possibly, like 2 days in June, or a morning and an afternoon session. I don't know if you want to do it differently.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if we did one the first week of June, right, that would be our Ashland one. And then we tried to do 2 days, a morning and an afternoon, the week of the 15th. That would be our normal Reynoldsburg date. That would give you 3 dates in June.
Well, Chip, are you back that week?
I am back. Yeah, I'm back by the 15th, Monday the 15th, I should be up and running.
Okay.
And I mean, worst case scenario, I mean, the week of June 8th, I'm just supposed to go to North Carolina, so I can call in if all else fails.
Well, I mean, if nobody has any objections to the week of the 15th, I mean, I think we do those 2 dates there, and then again, the week of June 1st, if we do one date that's our normal Ashland date, so that way we give Susan 3 dates in June, I think that would be good. So, I mean, I would throw out the 15th and 16th if you're okay, Chip, with that. And then in the first week of June, I don't know, maybe the 4th.
So wait a second though, real quick. So did you say 15th and 16th or 16th and 17th, Paul?
15th and 16th. I can't do
That
Wednesdays.
Works. That works. That's
ever,
right.
so.
I forgot. Yeah, that works. So let's 15th and 16th works for myself.
That works
How
for
about
me.
Neil?
That works for me. Actually, my schedule's a lot lighter because all my travel's been canceled.
Yeah.
It's good for me.
The 15th and the 16th, I have like a half-hour hearing that I may have to jump off to do real quick, but such is life.
That's fine. I mean,
Will the start times be the same as an in-person?
Doesn't have to be. What time do you think you might have a hearing? Which date is that? 15th or 16th?
The 15th, I have a 3 p.m. hearing, and then the 16th, I have a 10 a.m. hearing.
Okay.
So do you want to switch our normal, we'll do morning on the 15th and afternoon on the 16th then?
That would work.
Okay.
I mean,
Sure.
I hate to be a
That
stick
works for me. We can do,
Okay, morning of the 15th, afternoon of the 16th. And then,
That just means that if the governor says, okay, we can get together in person, then I'm going to need an extra hotel night on Sunday.
yeah.
I mean, could I throw something out there? I mean, I really I like the way we're doing it now. I can have on my desktop at the same time the drawings and all the information while I'm talking to you guys over here. It's a lot easier to have that information available.
And you're farther than 6 feet, probably.
Yeah, it's, I think this is a great system.
how do you get the drawings on your desktop?
I go through the Dropbox.
Oh, you went through Tumbleweed?
Yeah, I pull all that up. I can, just like Paul's pulling it up, I can go through all the information, look closely at it. And I think it's more convenient myself.
Well, I don't know that we're gonna, I mean, I don't, what the policy will be on open meetings and having boards and commissions go full-time virtual once this subsides and we're past. But if that's what you're suggesting is, if there's a pathway to that, you'd be in favor of it.
I thought, weren't some of the building officials at one time we were looking at doing things remotely so they wouldn't have to travel? It would promote.
But the issue was we would be assembled together. That was the.
Right.
Yeah, well.
I think Brad just needs to get himself a new laptop. That's all.
I've got a laptop with you and then my desktop right here, but I think businesses are finding out a lot of things during this.
Well, I know. I don't think there's any question about that. The issue is, will the government move that fast? I mean, I think that
No.
I think that the virtual hearings was to continue state business under an interim executive order, and then there was some legislation passed, wasn't there?
Correct.
Because I know, or an attorney general's opinion that as sort of on an emergency basis, we could conduct ourselves this way. I'm just not sure we're allowed to do that without some legislation or some other administrative rules or however that would be enforced going forward. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm personally, I like the in-person setup. I think you get a better read on the participants. You can expedite the hearing if you need to. I mean, we screwed around for 20 minutes just trying to have the building official get in today on a pretty nothing case,
Can I chime in?
Sure.
I believe the hope is, right now, all we can do is remotely, and it's until that's all lifted or changed. But I do believe it's the hope that that in the future, we will allow them to select either in person or remote. We will do both. Just so you're aware.
Right, but again, just so we know, I mean, that would be premised, at least presently, on the notion that at some point in time, the board would have to be situated in the hearing room.
Correct.
I guess I don't have I'm with Neil. I still favor the in-person, but I mean, like today, all of these, for the most part, these hearings today were pretty benign. I mean, we're talking about restrooms and nothing controversial or really in depth, but you get some of these other cases where, I mean, the parties are in opposition, and I don't think it's something that we could do by video. And
there's going to be some cases where Paul's going to be objectionable. You're not going to be able to carve out conditions ahead of time. I mean, you're right. There could be challenges. We didn't have any. We had testimony, but we didn't have any Q&A from a lawyer.
Right.
All those things could weigh on the process.
Yeah.
And frankly, if we were to do this into the future, I'd much rather use Zoom than Teams. Zoom is
Let me ask you this.
so much more user-friendly.
Are you going to do, we're on a public meeting right now, but I mean, we do have Amish cases.
Yeah, really.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, Susan, you might check with council on that. I'll call Aaron anyways, because Aaron called me. I don't know that he left me a voice message. I should see.
So why did you assume that Paul's going to be objectionable? I mean, really?
Well, we'll just schedule those.
No, Aaron did not leave me a voice message.
Okay, well, let's get our June date set so that Susan has something to start scheduling to. And again, I would throw out there 15th and 16th. 15th we'll do afternoon, or 15th we'll do in the morning. 16th we'll do afternoon, and then again, I would throw out first week of June, maybe on the 4th, do a morning session.
I'm good with the 4th in the morning.
I'm good with the 4th.
I'm not going anywhere, so I'm good for it all.
Yeah, 4th works.
And then would have to ask Susan do we need to get July dates scheduled now, or can we wait till the end of the month to get those?
We can wait and see what happens, what direction we get.
Right, because we won't know if there's geography going to play a part in that.
Right.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So morning of the 4th, morning of the 15th, afternoon of the 16th. While I got Susan on here, and I guess Neil goes back the longest, right? But how did we end up starting hearings at 12:30? Has that just been something historical?
I think because you do 2 days, it allows travel time for any of the board members, say up in Cleveland, to drive to Columbus.
No, I get you. I get you. But
Stay
when I always
overnight.
tell people I'm starting hearings at 12:30, people that are lawyers are going, wait, you don't start court till like 1:30. That's all.
Oh,
I just didn't know if that was just something that was, or whatever.
I guess it's always been like that. We can
Fine,
change
fine,
it to
fine. Yeah, I was
1,
just-
we
I
can
was just
change
curious.
it.
I was just curious. Well, we used to do 8 o'clock in Reynoldsburg, and we moved that up back to 8:30.
I think that was because of security and alarms on the doors, if I recall, that we moved it to 8:30.
Okay, well, you'll send us calendar invites for the 4th,
I will.
16th. Okay. Sam, do you have any follow-up? I asked you after the 2nd or 3rd hearing. Did any suggestions for us? We can go off the record. You can go off the record. You can go off the record for that.
Just generally, I do have a preference towards Zoom to be able to see a gallery view, or if there is a gallery view, if I could get joined in on the team for this. But other than that, everything seemed to be working pretty smoothly. The only problem is the recording mechanism is delayed from the live feed, so that's a little bit tedious. But everything else,
Yeah,
the quality
I have to learn to wait when I say to anybody have any questions, because a couple of times I sort of moved on, and then Paul had a question, for example. So I'll delay on that a little longer. Okay, well, that's good to know. I mean, I think I told everybody that I know that I know on high that the Supreme Court scrapped GoTo and went to Zoom, and they liked it. But I think this is a Commerce Department edict, and I don't know that we have any say in that.
right. On the positive side, typically during the live hearing, when people place documents on the table, everyone starts talking at the same time, and that is greatly reduced during this. So that's a big improvement.
Good. Okay, well, if there's nothing further to consider today. Our next meeting will convene tomorrow at 8:30. Do we want to try to patch in at 8:15, 8:20 again?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Neil needs a better link, as I understand it.
She sent it.
Okay, that's good. Okay. If that's the case, our next meeting is tomorrow, Tuesday, May 5th at 8:30. We've approved minutes. We'll deal with compensation for preparation and the hearing tomorrow. If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, that was Chip, moved to adjourn. Sam, and do I have a second?
Second.
Deal.
I think Brad beat you to that punch on that one. That's the computer versus the phone, maybe. Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, gentlemen, 8:15 tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thanks. See you guys.
Okay.